Welcome back to another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People. I'm your host, LeVar Edie, and you know this podcast is presented by BluRok Farm. We also have an affiliate link with leafwell.com to get 10% off on your medical cannabis card. So make sure you use the code BluRokFarm10, BLUROKFARM 10 to get 10% off with leafwell.com. So let's get right into today's episode. It's going to be an episode that I know you guys are going to love. It's going to be cannabis and rolling up. So we're going to be talking about specifically different ways of rolling up your favorite cannabis strain. Um, so there's three different ways that we're going to go over today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about rolling up joints, rolling up wraps. I prefer hemp wraps myself, personally, because of the tobacco. I don't really like using tobacco products. The only time I actually use a backwood, which we're also going to learn how to roll today, is usually if I'm at a large gathering and there's going to be a lot of people and we want the blunt to last a long time and go around several rounds. I tend to use the backwoods only in those specific situations for me. Other than that, I'm not a tobacco guy. So again, but we're going to learn how to roll all three of these different types of products. We're going to be using some BluRok Farm CBD because we're at the studio. I don't want to disrespect the studio by bringing in some cannabis, so it's going to be CBD today, but everything applies the same. The principles of the quality of the flower that you're going to be using should be properly cured. Let me rephrase that: properly harvested, properly dried, and properly cured, so that the moisture content should be proper for the flour that you're going to use. I like to grind all of my flour that I'm going to use for any of these products, even if it's a joint, hemp wrap, or backwood. By grinding the weed or your flower, your cannabis, again in this case CBD, it is going to create more surface area so that you get a more even and controlled burn with your when you wrap, and especially if you wrap it right, not too tight, not too loose, so you have proper airflow. That really allows for, to me, a better smoking experience. So let's begin with grinding it up. I have this little device here, which it broke off of my lighter case that I had. It's a little poker, and it also has a little blunt, not a blunt, a blunt piece to pack your bowls. But this piece broke off, and I use this for my grinder, and you'll see a little bit later. And I also use it to help pack the bowls or pack the joints or wrap or backwoods a little bit tighter. So let's look at the CBD. So here we go. This is, what is this? What did I bring us today? This is, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it for a second. Cherry Blossom, excuse me. My brain had a brain lapse right there. So this is, excuse me, Cherry Blossom from my garden, CBD grown. It's 23% CBD with less than 0.03% of THC. So it falls under the CBD requirements. So first things first, I have my tray here that I'm going to be using. I like to have a tray so that it contains all of your material in case it spills. I don't like to waste. And then we have our grinder. This specific grinder is a Sharper grinder. The name of the company is Sharper. Nothing to me really special about it, but it does also have a keef space where it holds your keef as well. So let's begin by grinding up some of this flour. When you're rolling up a backwood, really is you're supposed to at least have an eighth in there, 3.5 grams of cannabis or flower for a backwood. I have about 5 grams here, which is more than enough for our backwood and then our joint. And then I'm going to use the same flour for the wrap as well, so that we get a nice full go. So all I do is just pack the grinder. I like to leave the space in the middle free because that's where this piece right here is going to go. I don't like to smush it in that space. So, yep, you just pack it in and twist, 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 twist. I would sing the Isley Brothers song, Twist and Shout, but I don't have the money for the copyright for that. So, just imagine that's playing in the background. Um, and yeah, you just continue to twist, go back and forth a lot. You can go in a circle, and then as you can see now, that part is all that's gone is down in the middle. Now, this is the perfect time to show why I use this tool right here. This tool, I'm, I guess, being raised to frugal parents, I like to save. So I use this little tool to get all the little bit of extra weed, in this case again CBD, that got stuck to the sides, and I just go around each corner and just do that to kind of separate it from that, and then it moves it towards the center, and then I usually just do a little tap around the corners like that, and then that extra stuff that I just pushed off the sides begins to fall into the holes. So now, do a little bit more, and there you have it. Now you have your nice grinded flour in here. I'm going to put the rest of this back in the container for now. We'll grind some more up a little later. And let's start with the joint. So this is, I'm not going to shout out the name because they're not paying me, so just any joint paper you want. The first paper is just usually the kind of manufacturer information, so I'm going to toss that. And so here's one sheet. Here's a second sheet that I'm going to take out, and we'll go into that a little bit later, what the second sheet is going to be used for. So some of you out there might, if you have rolling paper tips, excuse me, that's what I was thinking of, tips, you can take those out, but I'm going to show you a way to kind of create a tip without having the actual raw tips. Okay, so we're going to start by taking your paper. Boom, there you go. What I like to do is crumple it up. Crumple it up, squeeze it, roll it in a little ball. The reason for this, which you'll see in a minute, so I rolled it up, looks like a little wad of paper now, and now I unroll it. Got to be careful, some papers are thinner than others. So the reason why I did that is because that gives you a little bit more surface area, again, with those creases to give you more texture when you're rolling up, so you have a better feel than it being so smooth. It can sometimes be hard to roll up because of how smooth it is. So now we straighten that out. Make sure you have the gum side facing away from you, or at least that's the way I like to do it, is the gum side facing away. And we're going to lay that flat here. And then we're going to take our weed, in this case again CBD, and dump it right in the center. So you have that here, and then you just grab the ends. There's way more weed in here than needs to be, but that's fine. Again, that's what the tray comes in handy for. And so you then just start pushing it down. Again, you don't want to put too much pressure, but you're just pushing it down, one, so that it fits in the space provided, and two, to provide some compaction, which helps with an even more smooth inhale and burn. So now you can see we have extra coming out of the sides, which is again fine. That's again why having a rolling tray is very important. So now you're going to slowly pinch the corners together at the top, and you're going to kind of make a rolling motion. So you're going to push up, pull down, kind of like this, or let me see, like this kind of motion. Okay, and you're just going to keep on doing that. I like to start from the middle and work my way outwards. Some people like to start at the ends. Again, I just think it's better to start in the middle. And there's a little piece of the stem there, so I'm going to take that out because we don't want that to puncture our paper. So now you can kind of see that I'm getting the form that you want. So we're getting there now. So there you go. And then the last step from here is I like to put my fingers like this. And then I take my lips. I'm not really licking yet. I'm just taking my lips like that and kind of pulling to make it a little bit tighter. Just a slight pull. And I'm doing that from each side, from one side, middle, middle, other side, just so that it's a little bit tighter. Okay? And then I go back into the middle with both my thumbs, like this, and push down, roll up. Go back to where you were, push down, roll up. And then I go to the edges because now the center's pretty tight and tucked in. I go to the edges, same thing. Roll up, there you go. And now I'm just going to do a very, very light lick. If you were doing this and you were going to sell it, let's say for industry-wise, you wouldn't lick. There's sucrose and other kind of glues that you can use or things that you can use to moisten that section to get it to lay flat. But since I'm going to be smoking this, I'm going to roll this up. I'm going to lick it. A light little lick, push down. Barely took any saliva at all. Nice little lick, down. And there we go. So that side's all done. And you can see that is very dense right there. That side's all done. I'm going to finish this other side over here. And actually, I'm not going to finish that other side. I take that back. This comes into the point where if you had a tip, glass tip, or a joint tip, you would, the Wiz Khalifa way is, I'm going to make a little tip with the cover of the paper. So you just take a little piece of harder cardboard, plastic, something of that nature, and all you're going to do is fold a little piece down like that, go back the opposite way, and then do that about 3 to 4 times. And I made this a little bit too short, but you'll still get the idea. So you kind of make an accordion section here like that, and then you would just roll it up more. And if it was a real tip, it would be a little bit longer, so it would roll around it. And it would make a little W, and you can throw that in there. If you don't have that, what I do is take another piece of your joint paper. It's already folded in half. What I tend to do is I fold it so that it's skinny one more time. Come on, there we go. So then it's just a little skinnier, and then you do the same principle. Fold, fold, and since this is thinner, you're going to have to do more folds. I would say do about 5 to 6. And so you can kind of see, again, that accordion part. There we go. So you put that accordion part back in, back accordion style, and then you just roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. And so if this was thicker, it would pop up, and it still pops up. You can kind of see it there. It's hard to see, but then you take your joint. This tool comes in handy, and if you have those clipper lighters, you can take the piece out of the, oh, actually, 1 second, I think. Nope, I didn't bring it. Anyways, if you have a clipper lighter, perfect, thank you. Oop, my bad. And look at the movie magic, clipper lighter. You can take the clipper, the insert or the I guess the pin, I'm not sure what they really call it, but the pin for the clipper lighter, you take that piece out. It's specifically made for this. And you use that to push in your flower. So now you have a cavity or space. Hold on, I just want to get it nice. Cavity or space for your tip. And you just also made the joint more dense, compacting it more. Okay, so then you take your little piece that you just made and you stick it in there. Then I take my little, now if this was a thicker piece like this or what the tips are normally made of, it would expand enough already inside the hole to fill up the hole. Since it's not, since it's made out of joint paper, and joint paper is not as thick or condensable or expandable as that, come on, you got to expand it yourself a little bit, which I did. And I expanded it too much, so let's put that back. There you go. Put that back in here like that. And then you take the side that you didn't lick, which is the side you just put that tip in. You push that tip in a little bit more, and then you tighten that up so it kind of holds the tip in place even tighter. Lick that up, lick that up. And bam, there you have it. This is your tip side. It's not the prettiest because that tip isn't the greatest, but that tip will serve so that when you're smoking, you're not inhaling any of the extra cannabis. So I'm not getting any particles in my mouth because of that tip. So, boom. That's how you roll a joint. So, let me grind up some more. And I don't like making a mess, so there we go. Okay. So now we're going to go to the Backwoods next because that is a favorite of a lot of people's. And so again, you want to make sure that you have properly cured, harvest dried, cured flour that you're going to be using. And it's very important for a backwood particularly. A joint you can get away with having more flexibility in it. With the backwood, it needs to be a little bit more, that process of the harvest, drying, and curing needs to be more important. So, because that dry and curing process needs to be perfect, so that when you roll it up in the backwood, it holds its form. So, which you'll see in a second. So, backwood. And this episode is going to be a little longer than I anticipated, guys, but we're going to get all the information you need. So, Backwoods now is, their packaging has, where they have the seal. I prefer not having that seal, to be honest with you. The old packages didn't have that seal, so you can rip the package open like I did here. And then you'll see why that's important to be able to do later. But, so, once you open your package, you got your backwood here. You're going to find the edge or the corner. Here it is. It's not gonna be, it's gonna be hard to see here, but you can kind of see where I'm starting to pull it out here. And I found the edge, and now I'm unraveling the edge. As you can see here, perfect. And you just unravel, 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 and then you dump out your guts here in this trash. Again, movie magic. And then you get the backwood here, the leaf itself. Now, something this is really good to show here is the stem. Some people like to take the stem out. I would say in this case you can leave it in because it's pretty flexible. It's not seemed to hinder the rolling ability because it was already rolled. Now, what I would recommend to everybody is after you unroll it, like I just did here, wash it off. Wash it under just tap water is fine, which I did here. So I'm going to transfer these over here. Boom, boom, boom. And so now I wiped it, I wet it off with just normal water, and then I just got a paper towel and let it sit on there, okay? So now, that's your prep work. Backwoods involves a lot of prep work. If you're gonna get the whole leaf backwoods, which I would recommend, is looking at the shape. This is about the shape that you want it, so I would cut your leaf into a shape similar to this. It's kind of, I don't know what kind of shape you would call it, but it's not quite a pentagon, but, or hexagon. It's somewhere in the middle of that because all the sides aren't quite even. Anywho, but that's the shape that you want. So now you place that onto the backwood paper or the packaging. I like to place it about middle with the midline about where the middle of the wrap was. So here's the middle of the wrap right here. I want the wrap to be about in the middle of that space there, okay? And that's gonna be your weed line, your cannabis line basically. So now you take your flower, which we have here, and we dump it right on that midline the best that you can. And there we go. So it's kind of in the midline. It's not quite in the middle yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both sides of the edge and I'm going to just kind of flip it so it kind of moves it more towards the center. All right. Now, here is one of the greatest tricks that I've learned, and it was taught to me by my friend Victor from San Jose. And then a couple of my partners in Oakland also confirmed that this is the way to do it. So you did everything I said, put the leaf in the middle of the packaging, then you put your weed in the middle of the leaf. So then you're going to fold, hold on, I'm going to push this down just a little bit. Fold it, and then I'm going to apply pressure right above where the mass of the flower is, right above that mass. I'm going to press there, and I'm going to roll down. So roll down with my thumb moving towards downwards. Okay. And so and then you work your way from the middle to the sides. Go back, middle, sides. And so now you can kind of see what's happening in here. Let me open this up. Come on. The weed or the flower is starting to form into the shape that you want. So I'm going to go back, go all the way down. Until, it started to roll on me faster than I wanted to. So I'm going to straighten it out again. So now, if you see here, it has moved from the middle towards the bottom. As you can see there, okay? So that's where you want it to be. So now that it's at the bottom, you want to straighten your leaf out from the top. You're going from the bottom. You're taking and you're pinching right where you were in that same section, right above that, and now you're rolling up. Your thumb is going upwards. Or your forefinger is going down. However you see it, and you just continue that action. You got to make sure you're staying tight because if you don't, it's going to just slide up. But if you stay tight, it should start to roll on its own. And you'll see once we get all the way to the top here, keep on rolling. And there you have it. That is completely rolled. And now because this, I can tell because I didn't measure or weigh how much I have in here specific versus the joint. I can tell that it's not quite an eighth in here because how thin the blunt is now. But if you had it properly with, at least 3.5, maybe 4 grams in there, I'm going to unroll this real quick. So this is how it looked when I finished. I'm going to unroll it so you can see that the weed or the flower is still holding its structure. That gives it an indication that it's properly dried and cured. Okay? So if it was full, like I said, 1/8 to 1/4, this would be bigger and it would be more full, and the flower would be all the way to the edges. Then you would just lick, boom, lick there. I'm not going to lick this because I'm not going to use this because I don't use these. In case somebody else wants to, they can. But you would lick that to seal that down. And then you would cut the tip here and then here. And if it was properly packed like this one is, if I cut here and here, the weed's going to stay in because it's compacted enough. But that's how you would roll a backwood using the wrapper, which makes it a lot easier, especially if you have the proper amount of weed. So we're going to quickly move on to our last, which is the hemp wraps. Now, these are my smoking choice. I use hemp wraps all the time because, again, I don't like using tobacco. I'm not big on using tobacco products or tobacco things. So that's just me. But, hey, whatever you like. I like once I unroll it from here, I usually put it here between my fingers like this, wrap it around, go here, and just hold it like that. Ooh, sorry. Hold it like that so that it kind of, ooh, that's kind of cool because it's giving the green. But I do that just to kind of flatten it out a little bit. But I still wanted to retain some of its the shape of the roundness like that. So I don't want to stretch it out and flatten it out too much. So I just do that so it maintains its shape, and then it also is flat enough for me to do what I need to do. So then you would grind up your weed like you would do in any other situation. And for the sake of purposes, I'm just going to dump this out in here. See, it's wanting to hold the structure still, even as I'm dumping it out, which again means that it was properly cured and harvested and dried. So we're going to just dump that over there for the sake of purposes. And then, so, same thing as you would do with your joint. Put everything towards the center, line it up. I like to put about that much of my finger in the space, because I know that weed's gonna, or the flower is gonna be moved out from the center. And I do that on both sides because I like it to be even. And then push down to give it some compaction. And then you're going to do the same thing that you did with the joint, is back and forth, trying to get that compaction that you want. And then you start from the middle, push the middle down, pinch it down, not too tight, because you don't want to cause it to be too compact where you have a hard time getting the pull you want when you're inhaling, but you don't want it too loose that you're breathing in all the flower on each hit. So now again, I got my fingers in the position that I like. Now I go from the center, use my lips to just tighten it up a little bit. Make sure I tighten every part, and then I start in the middle. And hold on, there we go. I didn't tighten that up enough. There we go. So with the hemp wraps, at least this specific kind, you need a little bit more saliva to get it to stick than with the joint. With the joint, I barely needed any. And again, I'm not using a lot. It's just really kind of moistening it up. And then, So that side's done. This side doesn't want to stay down. All right. And then I like to flip it on its side. If you have a clipper, I like to pack that in a little bit. And then if I was going to use a tip, my tip goes in. Some people like to have it rolled up and then put the tip in last. I like to do it this way because I feel like I can make sure that the tip gets secured a little bit tighter that way by securing it after. So there we go. That side's down. And then, oh, come on. Doesn't want to stay for me. Okay. Boom. Boom. There we go. And so now we have a blunt with a tip. And you can kind of see the tip, and the reason Wiz likes that style because it makes a W that you can kind of see there. So that's for Wiz Khalifa. All right. And so that's how you have it. You have, I demolished the backwood, but you saw how that was. So you have your hemp blunt and your joint and then your backwood. So those are all three ways that you can roll up in different ways. Again, like I said, I recommend using really good flower that's been properly cured, dried, harvested, and cured. Making sure you use a grinder, a good grinder. I like grinders with the keef holder as well because when you do grind it up, any extra trichomes that fall will fall into the keef reservoir. And then if you want, at the end of it, for like your joints or your blunts, you can take some of this. Hold on, let's get some of this keef out. Oh, come on. Take some of this keef out, and you would be able to, some people put honey on their blunts or just lick it and then sprinkle the keef on top. You can put distillate, isolate, rosin, resin, and then put the keef on top of that way as well. That's just another way to enhance your smoking experience. So I know we went over a lot, and we went over the time that I initially had planned for this. So please leave in the comments which method you prefer. Do you like backwoods? Do you prefer Dutches? Do you prefer wraps, joints? What you think about the rolling techniques that I showed today. Let us know about your rolling techniques, what ways you use and ways that are beneficial for you. A quick tip that can be used as well is if you don't have tips, you can use, I forgot what type of pasta it is, but the round, the curvy pasta, you can use that as a tip as well. Put that in the side, and it can serve as a tip to block the flour from getting into your mouth as well. But these are the methods and ways that I roll up. So please let us know, and let us know what flour we should put in our joints, our wraps, or our backwoods. And again, I want to say thank you all for staying and sticking with us. Free the plant, free the plant, free the people. We're making a lot of changes. We are growing and expanding. So if you want to be on the show, definitely hit us up and let us know. And always listen, like, and subscribe. And come back next time for another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People, presented by BluRok Farms. And I'm your host, LeVar. Peace and blessings.